Hey everyone, this is the second video in the Wargame walkthrough series. In the last video, we worked through some CTF challenges. Today we're going to keep working on. And today we'll go from challenge 6 to 10. So log in, well, we already know the username, and as for the password, we found it in the last video when we completed the 5th challenge. We can see that we have an input form here, where we can enter all sorts of values. As you can see, the browser has already saved what I entered during previous CTF lessons. If we enter just any random values, basically nothing will happen here. So there's also a dedicated button available to take a look at the source code, so let's go ahead and click it now. And now we can see the HTML code here. And we're specifically interested in this script here, which is written in the Pechka language. If we break down this code, we'll see that in the command, which, well, it might not be a secret ink. Or, for example, the text there could be index. It doesn't matter. Let's copy it. Next, we can see that there's an if, meaning one action or another is performed and compared. So, for example, if I equals 1, this action is executed. This action here, but if I is not 1, say it's 2, then this other action is executed. And that code. So, if we enter something and it's incorrect, then this action is performed, meaning it prints wrong secret. But if it's correct, then this action is performed. This list right here. As I mentioned before, we needed to copy this path, so let's. For example, let's take a look over here. Yeah, we can see that there's some variable in the code, secret, and it's equal to this value right here. Let's copy it. And for example, paste it here. So we've found out the password for the next task. So let's enter the username and password. It's Natas7 and the password we just found. All right, here we have two buttons. But basically, they don't do anything. They just display some text. So let's take a look then at the source code of these pages. Or actually, let's press the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+U to get a better look. So we see this code, and there are comments. That means the password for Natas 8 is located at this path. Let's copy it and paste it. We can paste it into the page parameter, or of course into the other parameter. Since it's actually the same parameter, they can just be changed around. Well, let's try, for example, home. Right. And if we paste it into about, it's the same thing. So there's really no difference for us. All right. Let's move on to the next Natas level. This will be Natas level 8 for us. So here we have the login and password for Natas 8. Let's enter the login and password. And it looks like we have a similar task. Let's take a look at the source code. So in the source code, we have a PHP script as well. So we have some variable that hints to us that this is some kind of encoded secret. I assume this is a hash. There's some function that encrypts. Well, I don't know. This is text and this is a password. I'm not sure yet. It returns into hex. Encrypts B64 in code and sends it via post method. And again, like I said, if the actions are correct, then this action is performed. If not, then we need to decrypt it. So we need a script to write a script that will give us the reverse hash, meaning the login and password. I've already written the code. I just need to use an online compiler. So we write PHP. It can be absolutely any link. This is the specific environment where you can compile your source code and run the program. So let's go ahead and compile it right now to see the results. Yeah, we can see that we already have the decrypted text, which is the password, just a password, not for the next Natas. In order for it to give us the password for Natas 9, let's enter it. We've got the password. Let's move on to the next task. All right, Natas 9 and the password. So this looks like a similar task to what we had before. You can check it out too. The code. We're specifically interested in this script. So we have some kind of key, which is empty. This key. It's all inserted here, specifically. Here's another thing we have, a text document of some sort. Got it. So we're going to try to find it now. Let's enter. For example, test. If we enter PWD, it is essentially the exact same situation in this long shot. Suddenly, something showed up right here. But it's not exactly what we need. You can enter something else. ls. There's absolutely no minus sign, so let's try test with wd. And just like that, we found the path to the next Natas level. Well, not to the next Natas, but to this one. Let's go ahead and substitute the value here. right here specifically. Okay, and let's type cat. The cat command in Linux is for viewing. So we'll view this particular directory. This file, what's inside it? Let's enter it again like this. Same thing, nothing. Well, in that case, we can definitely try to find another way to do it. Meaning, instead of putting a 9 here, let's try a 10. Let's say, okay, then let's enter L's again. Now, this is getting interesting. So let's enter L's again. No, it's Natas. In Pez, I'm not entering anything new. Now, we've already gone through this process in several of our previous CTF walkthroughs, so as we can clearly see here, basically all of the different CTFs are listed right here in this section, but we specifically need to find one in particular. 1010 CTF. Then we go ahead and enter the value right here. That is, we write 5,000. And once that is done, you will see that all the other values in these fields are automatically populated by the system for you. So, having said that, then you and not as 10. So, looking closely at the entire list we have here, which has been carefully organized in locale order, we can see that we have something that looks very similar to a complex password. Let's go ahead and copy this entire string to our clipboard. Once we have that, we need to start the process of removing all the unnecessary things, like extra spaces and special characters, to clean it up properly. And here we will substitute number 10, Matasa. All right. And the login with the password. Right. That's in it. We're on task again. The task in principle is similar. They're all very similar, but the implementation of these tasks is different. Let's look at the same thing in the personal account. So here too, it's unclear, yeah. For now, nothing is clear yet. Let's look at the code. Again, we see. Looks like a script, something related to a key. Again, there's some kind of check going on, either or. Here, in the if statement, it says, until this key is empty. All right, then. So let's look at a similar script that we had before. So if we look at NATO's web pass, and here we already set NATS to 11. Well, unfortunately, that approach didn't seem to work either. So let's try to tackle this from a completely different perspective. Here what you see. NATAS, web pass, NATAS 11. Let's try adding a hashtag. 2. That didn't work either. Then let's try writing it all together. It just doesn't want to accept it. I must have done something wrong. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I used two single quotes, but you need to put them together at once, like I did. That was wrong too. That is really quite strange. Even if I try it right here with just one single quote, it still absolutely refuses to work correctly no matter what I do. So now that we have successfully obtained the password for NATAS level 11, we are ready to move on. The tasks keep getting harder and harder. They're all very similar to each other, but the way you solve them is very different. So it all depends on the source code of this script or the previous scripts we've gone through. Or sometimes it's just about plugging certain values into the input form. You might run into all of this on a real website. That's it for now. Thanks everyone for watching. See y'all next time.